you guys want to handle that?
Prop it up on the speaker.
Why is it got right here on the left room? Like, okay, alright, fair enough. That's okay, we get to see the screen. I'm not sure. We found some junk files.
Yeah, it's working. Holy crap. Nice.
Alright, we ready? Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between,
Hi.
welcome to Furrydelphia's first VRChat meet and greet and intro panel. Somebody want to poke their head outside real quick and find out if anybody's actually still waiting to get in?
No.
Okay, good. Then this instance is full. How many here have never played VRChat before? Okay, great, fantastic. Nice. You put your right. So, we are your hosts.
They're already.
This here is Chief. This is TJ Coyote, mastermind behind the panel. I am Chevron, Commander A9. Thank you all for coming.
Who designed this wonderful presentation too?
So I did, and took most of the screenshots, which many of you participated in. Before we start, I want to say the views that we express in this panel are not endorsed by any organization, be they any club that we've gone to, any convention that we've attended, or Furrydelphia itself.
Or Furality.
Or Virality, we'll get to that later as well. These are our opinions, our views, take those as you will. So, those of you who don't know what VRChat is, or just getting into it, or getting back into it, VRChat is essentially a massive social gathering and gaming platform posted primarily on Steam through VRChat website itself. It's an opportunity to meet people, gather, socialize, play games, dance, exercise, talk. If you can do it in the real world, you can most likely do it in VRChat. It's great for expressing oneself, showing off your creativity. People create whole worlds, whole avatars. They have designed hotels, they have designed battle arenas, they have designed popular locations that you may have already visited in the real world. It's great for those who suffer from social anxiety, those who have access issues, maybe those living across the country or across the world. If you play VRChat, you can go anywhere. You can attend any convention, size, limits, doesn't matter. For a lot of people, it's more than just a video game.
And I don't have as strong voice as you do, so I could always use a little bit of help here. So, if you haven't been on VRChat yet, a lot of people say, oh, you need VR to be on VRChat. Absolutely not. If you have a computer that can play any reasonable game, you can definitely get on VRChat. The only thing that your computer probably needs is a discrete video card as opposed to integrated graphics. As long as you have that, VRChat will run just fine. It's a free download. You don't need any additional equipment. However, the one thing that I would recommend is a headset for voice chat if you don't have it already, because that'll at least give you the 3D audio effect, and it'll give you at least some degree of immersion. And you'll hear me start to say immersion is a lot of the furry VR experience, in my opinion. Now, as far as which headsets, there are so many headsets out there, and there's a lot of them that are slated to be released in the coming months. However, at the current time, probably the best introduction to VR would be the Quest. It's not only one of the least expensive ones available, Quest 2 specifically. Yes, thank you for reminding me. It's not only one of the least expensive ones available. It's got reasonably sharp quality, and you can run standalone if you have to. However, if you tether it to your computer, you'll be able to see all the worlds and all the avatars without any limitation. Standalone, there's going to be a lot of limitations. You might see a lot of people as little gray wolves rather than their nice big avatars. The step up would be the Valve Index. It is pricey, however, the nice thing about it is everything you need is included in one box. You don't have to start assembling bits and pieces and putting them together. As far as being best bang for your buck, I'd say it's best bang for your immersion experience. And once you have an index, you do have the option then to get full body trackers, which will then track your feet and your waist, and then you can pretty much walk around, wag your tail. It's really virtual fursuit in my opinion. Now, let's see. Yeah, now you're starting to get some things in the next slide, like try jumping off a virtual building, we dare you? Yes. It can get quite immersive, which brings us to the next slide.
And for the record, on the panels here, the Valve Index is the headset at the top of the column. The HTC Vive is in the middle. Quest 2 is at the bottom. Next to that are your full body trackers, which can give you the effect of TJ Coyote here dancing near the fire crystal.
Now, this is starting to get into perhaps a little more of the esoteric side of VRChat. So if you haven't been into VRChat, if you haven't been on VRChat, you probably haven't, you want to know about these things. Even if you have been on it without doing the full body experience or without doing at least the VR experience, you might not experience some of these things, but just a quick history. I got into VRChat back in March, well actually April 2020 when the whole world shut down obviously. And I was always of the opinion that VRChat, or VR in general, it's blocky, it's got polygons, it's not really that great. And then I saw a video by Cooper Tom where he was like, look at this. And he was showing off the world, and I was like, okay, it's made it, it's there. And then a short time afterwards, Cooper Tom started posting some of his worlds out that he designed. And as soon as I saw these worlds, I was like, this is a new art form. It's architecture, it's art, it's music, it's everything all combined. This is serious. I want to experience this artwork just as much as artwork that I experience on Furality or another art site. So that's probably why I got into it. The other reason why I got into it was, not going after Con, let's have some spare money. Might as well buy the equipment so I can get through this damn year. So I started going there, and as we started to see more and more worlds, I started, like Cooper Tom's worlds, for example, you're starting to see the world as he saw it. You're almost like inside someone else's mind, seeing how they see the world. And that's like a first thing, I think, in the human experience. Once you start getting toward using like the full eye tracking set, or at least hands-free controls of the index, you can actually start to forget that you're really running on VR. So once you get to that point, it's like when you look at your hand, you're moving it, you're opening it, it's like, wait, that's not my hand, that's raccoon hand, or whatever it could be trying to be. When you're looking at your feet and you're moving them, it starts to feel like your own feet. And I found that actually helped me overcome motion sickness quite a lot, because rather than being free-floating and kind of suspended in space like Mark Zuckerberg's avatar, you're actually anchored to the ground. And I used to be motion sick, but the full body actually took care of that. Taking that a little bit of a step further, you might hear some people talking about phantom touch or phantom sense. It's not this like woo-woo, new age out there, mystical thing. You can have a lot of fun tricking your mind if you want to, and a number of furries do experience that effect. I do. Another thing that you might see people doing is dwelling in a mirror. Why is everyone looking at a mirror? There's actually a good reason for that. When you're in the mirror, you're seeing yourself, and you're seeing all your friends next to you. So it kind of helps anchor yourself with the group, and you start to feel more like a group. When I finally take off the headset for the night to finish up, I almost like, it's not a dream. It's just that overwhelming and that different. And that's kind of my experience with VR. Your experience might vary, but I'd say it's definitely a new experience you should get.
These images here were all taken during VRCon's convention, which is a showcasing of various VRChat worlds, role-playing groups, and events. None of these images that came from the art gallery are hand-drawn. These are all created with a 3D creation program called Unity, which is what players use to make the worlds and VRChat avatars.
And also to tag on to that, if you ever see screenshots of VRChat, it's nothing as good as what you see, because when you see a still image, it's a still image. Very different than seeing something rendered in full 3D, 60 frames a second. that helps close the gap for some of the lack of details you might see here. So you're actually in the game. It's like, wow.
Full 360-degree up-down environment. Chief?
So going with games, there's like multiple games you can play, going from like playing hopscotch to like playing Battle Disc. Basically, playing Battle Disc is like the same thing as if you're actually moving Tron in the actual world playing Battle Disc. It's actually pretty cool. I specifically owned an Index, and like they were saying earlier, by all means, like it's actually like you're in the world. Even with having full body, it's really like you're there because you're walking around, you're seeing your legs saying, am I actually moving my legs? And you're actually moving your legs. So multiple games are out there, like Among Us. It's a very fun game. Battle Disc, Murder. Murder's a pretty cool, fun game where you're trying to figure out who's the murderer, but at the same time you're trying to be like, most likely to kill them. So Laserdome, Uno, very good game. I will be honest, I played Uno like I
The game that destroys friendships.
So Prison Escape. A lot of people I know because playing Prison Escape a lot. It's actually a very good game that just came out there. So, but again, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of games out there to play in VR, and they're quite fun to play with too. So.
My first experience with Among Us was in VRChat. The skell has been reconstructed in striking detail to the point that when somebody sneaks up behind you and you jump.
Yeah, I'm scared playing Among Us more like
Yeah, you're literally looking over your shoulder while plugging in the numbers on the panels or trying to do the memory game on the reactor, hoping to God nobody comes up behind you until this one over here goes, hey, Chevron. Thanks. That was my first time. So, beyond the video games that we play, as we mentioned before, VRChat is great for social interaction. Those who suffer from social anxiety, those who have difficulty in crowds, can find some relief in playing VRChat. There are multiple groups out there to cater to whatever your interest lies. There are exercise groups. The VR fitness and biking group is actually run by Sora the Psych there, who's the Renamon avatar on the far right. That's her leading a detail of the Furality officers in some stretches. We'll get to Furality in just a second. There are also worlds meant specifically for you to sleep. There are people that use the headset to literally fall asleep on the bed with the headset on in VRChat. Not just somebody getting drunk and passing out on a dance floor and then snoring so everybody can hear it, which you will find if you go to a club. There's always one. This guy knows. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Only one?
Yeah. There are also groups that are designed to help people with learning sign language. There's an organization out there called Helping Hands, which specializes in teaching various forms of international sign language. There's also the No Friends Friends Club, which meets in an auditorium-like classroom that is surrounded with posters that help you identify the extremes of social anxiety. They help you identify good habits for dealing with social anxiety. They have numbers from people that you can call if you need help. They meet regularly. It's a very relaxed environment. And people have walked away from that feeling a hell of a lot better about themselves, and they keep coming back. That keeps just reinforcing the group to help people get over those difficulties. And at the end, they end up going to a real convention, like this one, in person, because they have the confidence that they take away from that group. There are filmmaking groups, role play groups. You can play the role of an American, British, or German army soldier, or a warrior fighting it out in the trenches in the Death Corps of Krieg from Warhammer 40K, if anybody here plays tabletop. There are even VRChat pole dance exercise organizations. You laugh, but it's there. It is there.
It's very, I'll be honest, sorry, I'll be honest, being in VR for so long, I've been playing started from desktop all the way up to the Index. And being in clubs, seeing people actually pole dancing is by far amazing how they actually can do it in IRL with all these cables and everything.
We've seen it. We've seen it with full body tracking, and we've heard the crunch of people fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Make sure you, word of advice, if you've got the headset, definitely check your surroundings first. I've already put my fist against the trophy case.
And gravity still works.
Yes, it does. You can't jump 20 feet in real life. I'm sorry.
Ceiling exists too.
Yeah, that too.
Don't forget the ceiling,
I'll
man.
start us off with our music clubs.
So going into full body tracking, there's so many music clubs out there. You thought, like, I'll be honest, being in like a VR club is the same experience as being at a FurCon club. There's like hundreds of people go to these clubs. Myself and Chevron actually met Tailbase, we met Charlie Potato, we met DJ Amiot. Just recently happened was Virality. The experience of Furality is by far amazing because of the backgrounds. It's very amazing. This year alone, like, was by far amazing, and doing all the dancing in there. There's like multiple people, and even if you look at the videos from it, you can see like hundreds of people in one world.
So Tailbase is a coalition of DJs from all over the world that also specialize as live streaming technicians. They work with a lot of virtual cons and even real world cons to set up their live streaming services. They also specialize in setting up what are called portals. It's literally a gateway between the in-person convention and the virtual world. They've done it for Furry Week in Atlanta, AnthroCon, they're doing it at Eurofurence right now. So players in VRChat can literally look through a live stream screen just like this one at a crowd sitting in this room. Exactly. There's Placeholder Club, another amazing group out there, another coalition of DJs. Club Orion, which is, it's a screenshot right there, pretty much one of the most intense clubs that you could dance in. The problem is they're very resource intensive and they get packed fast because of their just sheer level of popularity. If you can survive Club Orion, you can survive anything.
Except last Virality.
Well, yeah, there's that. We'll get into that in a second. BJ?
Okay, so virtual conventions. Back in 2020, when the whole world shut down, almost every convention tried to translate to online in some form or other. Now, besides all the in-person conventions, there are also a number of virtual conventions popping up. As far as the in-person conventions that went online, Furrydelphia 2020, someone actually replicated the entire hotel, the previous casino hotel, and you could walk around and everything was exactly where you would think it would be in real life, which was, it's always a trip whenever that happens. Equinox has done a whole series of amazing worlds. I know, Chevron, you're going to that convention, and I've actually heard of people saying that the virtual convention of Equinox made them want to go to the in-person convention.
That's right.
So all these virtual conventions, don't poo-poo them. They complement and enhance real-life conventions. AnthroCon, a whole number of worlds were designed. Fur in particular designed a really nice dance floor world for AnthroCon, and it was highly optimized. Great job for the rest of us whose computers are a little. TFF did some virtual things. Eurofurence, they replicated their entire hotel in excruciating detail. All I'd say is those Europeans are really great at their designs.
Right on down to the fireboxes.
A lot of these convention events, are they starting to die out now that there's more in person, or are they just as popular now?
No, they're just, Eurofurence one is basically a popular place for people just to hang out in the first place.
It really depends on the con, though. You're right. Now that a lot of conventions are coming back in person, the virtual worlds aren't being used as much, but they're still up.
Okay.
In some cases. Anybody recognize the screenshot on the top, the far right? Who knows what that is?
Yeah, that's
Who went to Philadelphia last year? That's the lobby. That's the lobby of the hotel. Who recognizes the one down below that one?
That's the Atlantic Hotel in Georgia.
That's right, the one on the very bottom.
Yes.
That's FWA's hotel. The one in the middle? That's right, that's the Weston Harbor Castle on the Toronto waterfront.
Will this con, do you think, be in VR?
That depends on whether or not somebody builds this hotel.
Building a simple world, a very simple world is easy, but building something that looks good, that takes serious effort, and it's like almost full-time job. Some conventions have had to hire like full-time designers to do some of their work.
Some of them are paid.
Something to do.
We'll get into how this is stimulating the furry economy in just a sec. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Hold your questions until just the end, because we just want to get through this as well, but we definitely appreciate your interest.
The last word I want to mention is Conifer in Mexico gives you a window into a whole other culture that you might otherwise ignore. So I just love the design of that world.
You know, it's good that you mentioned that, because we have lost people as a result of this pandemic. I think we all know somebody. Conifer has this, I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes, it is essentially in the Mexican culture, because Conifer is the Mexican con, essentially a giant pyramid of gifts, trinkets, other mementos left behind, like at grave sites perhaps. That world has rings of markers meant to honor those who have passed on throughout our fandom, throughout the past 30 years. It's possible that we might know somebody there. So if you are looking to reflect, visit Conifer. You might have that opportunity.
There's actually a dedicated friend of the world that China Husky made, and you can actually click through all the years to see all the furries who have passed.
She did. Now I know some of you have mentioned Furality. I know some of us are wearing the Furality shirts. Who here does not know what Furality is? Has never been to one of their conventions? You're about to get an education.
There's a lot to it.
The biggest and most successful VRChat convention group is the Virality online experience. It started in May 2020 during the worst of the pandemic with the question of, can VRChat support a furry convention? 5 conventions later, that question has been answered. It has everything that an in-person convention has. It has a dealer's den. It has an artist alley. It's got real world swag. T-shirts, posters, soundtracks. If it's in an in-person convention, Virality has maximized off of it and capitalized off of it. They promoted themselves with tables at in-person conventions like Biggest Little Fur Con. They have a staff of over 100 personnel. There are some indie video game companies that don't have that kind of staff, and they're selling paid products. This is $15 to get in for 4 or 5 days, which includes 24/7 raves from international DJs, some of the best from the world. You have to apply to get in. They don't just take anybody. The last convention, Virality Aqua, June of this year, held 15,079 people over the course of the weekend, and in one fell swoop became the biggest furry convention, period. They raked in over $22,000 for charity. During the previous 2 conventions, they pulled in $14,000 each. It's all for the Save a Fox Rescue Group. Who here's seen Finnegan Fox on YouTube? That's the charity that they support. This is also the group that supports the gateway portals that we mentioned before, the ones that establish the links between the real world and the virtual world so that attendees on both sides can talk to each other. Ever since day one, they've been pushing the social and the technological envelope. In fact, during the Virality Aqua closing ceremonies, the headmaster Dalton crashed. It went down like a meteor. But ended up coming back and acknowledged that yes, it is a developing platform. We'll touch on a comment later. I also read an article recently that had comment from Silas Sable. If you don't know that name, that's the gentleman who started Conference all the way back in 1989. And he has given validity to this convention. Regardless of your opinion of whether or not it's a quote-unquote real convention, it has to be acknowledged that Virality has made its mark on the fandom in an amazing way.
One of the great things about VR is that I knew that Cy Sable was one of the founding fathers of furry fandom, but I never had an opportunity to talk with him until I was on VRChat back in late 2020, and I was hanging out with him in a world for an hour or 2, and I was like, this is amazing. This would have never happened in real life.
Speaking of which, the first time I met Uncle Kage was at Conifer. He was Virality's first guest of honor. Whiskey Dingo was the most recent guest of honor at the last con.
A lot of people will poo-poo an online con, and it's like, okay, it might be easier for attendees to get there because you pay your $15 and you just go online, but when it comes to staffing, the staff is essentially building a hotel from scratch every time. Don't tell me the staff is not doing at least as much work as you'd have to do for an in-person con. Different type of work, admittedly, but the staff is doing it, have to do an enormous amount of work, and all the designers and all the artists. So yes, artists, yes, you have to pay an entry fee, but artists should be paid too. So
Great.
It's going for all the designers.
Great.
And also paying the platform to host it, which is not cheap.
So VRChat has made an incredible impact on the fandom, bringing people together, improving people's sociability, raising awareness of various conventions around the world, and as I mentioned, it's also stimulated the furry economy. You can get paid a lot of money if your skills are developed from building avatars with the proper rigging and movements to designing whole worlds. And most importantly, it is keeping us together. It is keeping us active, it is keeping us busy, it is giving us something to do, people to talk to, with everybody being isolated, with the world shutting itself down because of this damn virus. Excuse me. But
I also want to mention on avatars, when you go on VRChat, you'll see people running down all kinds of avatars. You can spend from $0 up to as much as you like on them. You can go and pick up a free avatar for no cost, and there's a large number of furry avatars out there now. If you like one that's customized for your character, yes, you could pay an artist perhaps $500 up for a completely custom avatar. However, you can purchase perhaps a pre-made base that's great for like canines or felines or whatever for perhaps, I don't know, $40 or so. And then you might pay enough, and then you could potentially customize it yourself or pay another artist perhaps $40 or so to customize it to your markings and such, and you can get a semi-custom character for under $100. So you don't have to spend a huge amount. Although, if you'd like to support an artist and to have them do full custom, go right ahead.
So, like they were saying, customized avatars. I have personally made avatars. I made up from let's see, Mamajins up to Nardos, Ghostlies. Ghostlies a big brand out there. But going back to this, I personally feel like VRChat has helped the fandom like a lot. It's helping people socialize, like going back a little bit. Help keeping your friends together, because I know COVID hurt a lot of people. So helping to socialize is a big step in getting up there in the chain almost. Like every weekend, just about, I know a lot of my friends, we're always on VRChat. We go to raids, we play games. Keep it busy. So that's why at least when you're on VRChat, at least your friends know, hey, you're doing okay. Like if you're having a hard time, just hang out. Just